gentlemen, welcome to Fool's Gold Rush live here in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. It's really ironic that certain things transpired last week, and here we are having to follow up from all of that. If you know, you know, and if you don't, get from underneath the rock that you reside in. But I am the CEO of CWN Malcolm King, alongside Charlie Meltzer, the sports analyst of this century, the greatest sports analyst of this century. Mr. Meltzer, we are live, pay per view time. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm ecstatic. I'm excited. I'm looking on the list of matches we got, and it's ironic. We're in the city that held WrestleMania. We're out following them up with a banger.
Absolutely. And no other promotion can do something like this. This is CWN, the greatest show on earth, and we have the greatest talent in our roster. So it makes sense that we would be the uh, first to be called to follow up after a epic 2 week or 2 days last week by that other promotion. But we are here now today with as you said, bangers of matches. Absolutely from top to bottom. I expected nothing less than 5-star matches from each of these competitors that were involved. This obviously took place last night. We are here today early on a Saturday morning in our beautiful homes that we all own. So we're going to jump right into this recap now. Obviously, it's not going to be super detailed because true fans would have watched the show. They would have been staying in tune with it, all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Meltzer are going to go over what took place last night at the pay per view at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, starting with match number one, which was for the CWN United States Championship match. It featured a member of the Dark Circus, the current champion at the time, CWN United States champion, the Flower Princess, as she took on Brockus. Now, Mr. Meltzer, we've seen both of these individuals in their career from top to bottom. From Flower Princess starting off as just a rosebud in the garden to blooming into this full blown garden of a superstar that she is now. And Brock is a man who swept the scenes like a hurricane and changed the game to an extent. Now he represents himself in so many different companies at the same level that he does here. And it's just exciting to see these two. It's been a long time coming. If I am not mistaken, I believe the record between these two is not very favorable for Brockus. I feel like every single time he's had a moment where he is at the pinnacle, where he is going to beat Flower Princess, either she um, digs down deep and she gets that victory, or Jackson Law, or the Dark Circuits, or even Renegade, whichever group they would have been in, has always figured out a way of thwarting Brackus's chances. So my question to you, obviously we saw it, but before the match happened, my question to you was: were you thinking tonight was the night that Brockus would walk away as a two-time CWN United States champion?
I hope Brackus wins. I really do, but like you said, we've watched him grow. I remember when he was just a little henchman for the CTC, along with Nicky Hartman. And to see him grow up into his own like he has, it's inspiring, but this is Flower Princess we're talking about. She has a tendency of having an ace up her sleeve.
Absolutely agree. She has solidified herself as the first lady of wrestling, the goddess of wrestling in her own respective right. It'd be interesting to see what she does outside of all of the shenanigans, right? All of
Mm-hmm.
Dark Circus or Jackson Law, just being standing on her own 2 feet. 10 toes down, being her own woman, and seeing what she can do from that aspect. However, last night was a shocker for all of us as Flower Princess and Brockets put on one hell of a match. However, Brockets was able to survive the Royal Knockout. Not one, but two Royal Knockouts. He was able to survive the prettiest elbow drop. And with no interference, no outside help, no shenanigans, Rockets was able to beat Flower Princess, not with a finisher, but with a roll up. As Flower Princess
Ooh.
off of the top rope with that prettiest elbow drop, hooked the leg. Brockers was able to shift momentum, roll the Flower Princess up, and pick up the pinfall victory, deeming himself as the new CWN United States champion. So congratulations are in order for the one and only Mr. Brockes. Congratulations to our new CWN United States champion.
Wow. Way to go, Brackus.
Yeah, it was an interesting match to see the level of grit from Flower Princess. She's absolutely top star for sure, and definitely gave Brockus everything that she could think of. Um, however, however, it is quite impressive that she um, lost in the fashion that she did. Not a knock to her, obviously. Roll up. It's just when there's a will, there's a way. But Brock is managing to snatch fate, so to speak, and take it into his own hands is absolutely amazing. What a way to start off our night here for this pay per view with this first match.
Yeah, it just proves how far Brackus has came in this game. Not many wrestlers on this roster has been able to withstand one, let alone two or more of the Royal Knockouts. I can count on one hand.
And there's a
Well, let's move on to the second match of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. The CWN Unity Tag Team Championship match. This was a match that you and I were both talking about before it happened. We were in the Gorilla. The Psycho Avatars, the CWN Unity Tag Team Champions, Sarah and Sabrina. Absolutely one of the greatest tag teams in CWN history. Their chemistry, their in-ring prowess, the things that they are able to do as a collective unit in that ring is something that is unheard of in many cases. But they take on this fresh, brass, fiery, young, minus the 36 plus years that Dominator has on Mason Stevens.
36? I thought it was 42.
Minus all those years that Dominator has on Mr. Mason Stevens, but they take on the Dark Falcons now. You mentioned something to me in regards to the Dark Falcons, so I'm gonna let you tell these people what your thoughts are on the Dark Falcons here.
They're a unique team from what I've gathered. I had an interview with Mason last week for the magazine I work for, and it shows that this is a new side of Mason. It's not the typical, and I hate to say it this way, but it's the way his career has been, the cookie cutter Austin Kruger. He's tried to be Austin so long, now he's doing himself. I'm impressed with what Mason's done, and then Dominator is, well, Dominator. The guy is one of the best trash talkers in the company.
He is he's an experienced individual here. I remember Dominator when he first started in this company. He was under. I'm not sure if very many people realize this or no, but he was under the guidance of the late great Queen Morton. She definitely raised Dominator's stock in the wrestling industry. She definitely raised his game in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the reason why Dominator got that first Brutality Championship is because of the um, managerial expertise of Queen Morton. And Dominator seems to get better. Um, the younger his tag team partners become, the better Dominator performs, because I feel like he takes it personally that he has to, show them the ropes and guide them
Mm-hmm.
down that right road. But we have to remember they are taking on a uniquely talented, just devastating tag team in Sarabhai and Sabrina. Jumping into this match here, ladies and gentlemen, back and forth action between both of these teams. Um, and the Dark Falcons definitely had the Psycho Avatars on the ropes for quite some time in this match. However, momentum shifted here as Sarabhai and Sabrina began to uh, find their groove, so to speak, working together. Um, Sarabhai and Sabrina had Mason set up for that. I always misplace the name of this finisher, this tag team finisher. It is one of the most devastating tag team finishers. Um, I'm pretty sure they call it the Ancient Effect or something like that. I'm not sure.
Ancient Breaker.
Ancient Breaker. Thank you for correcting me, because I did not want to, have that
Yeah.
conversation with Sabrina in my office about, you need to get this right, Malcolm. Um, she is a terrifying individual when it's just you and her in the room.
You should see her at home when she's not in the office. Ugh.
But they had him set up for the, what is it called?
Ancient Breaker.
The Ancient Breaker there.
Mandible Claw, Choke Slam, Code Break. Backstabber combo.
And Mason, that's where it should have ended for Mason. However, circus music begins to play, ladies and gentlemen. The lights begin to flicker in the arena. They go out. When they come back on, all three members of the Dark Circus are around the ring. Unhinged, Crisis, Flower Princess, or Dark Princess. Sarabhai and Sabrina wise enough to get out of the ring here. And the Dark Circus would get into the ring. They would attack Dominator. They would attack Mason Stevens. The ref, obviously doing his job, has no other choice but to call for the bell. The ring announcer last night, Meltzer, stated that the winners of this match are obviously the Dark Falcons via disqualification. However, and still, CWN Unity Tag Team Champions is none other than the Psycho Avatars. And for a moment, Meltzer, me and you thought, well, this is about to blow up here, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
Sarabhai and Sabrina looked as if they were going to get into the ring and engage the Dark Circus, but chose to have that fight at a different time, as they would grab their titles and head to the back. But the Dark Falcons, listen, Dominator, I've said this to him multiple times. I know you've had these conversations with him multiple times. He says things about the wrong people, and it usually turns around and bites him in the ass.
Yep. Yes, it does.
He's mentioned the Dark Circus on multiple occasions. If we're being honest, he probably should have thanked them, because they're the reason why he and Mason Stevens had this opportunity. Instead, he chose to call them out and send a threat, so to speak. And we know how the Dark Circus is. We know how they operate. Threats usually don't work very well or go over very well with it.
Very few people can get away with saying something to the Dark Circus and it not happen right away. Dominator is not one of those people.
Agreed. Agreed. And he got what he got for it, and I'm sure we will see the results of that in our upcoming show when me and you get to reveal on live screen television here the next card. So moving on to the next match, ladies and gentlemen, the CWN Intercontinental Championship match. It featured the champion right now, Casey Luchador, versus legendary Psycho Mike. Meltzer, what did you say to me about Psycho Mike before this match even started? What were your honest thoughts on Psycho Mike before he got into this match with a very hot, streaky Casey Luchador, I might add?
It is not it's a well-known fact. I'm not a big Psycho Mike fan because of his arrogance is just out there. But watching him work with Luchador, he's starting to make me a little bit of a believer. But Casey has been on a hot streak, unlike any I've seen him on my entire career. So Psycho Mike has a lot of work that he has to get done to get that title, which may be impossible.
And I was in the under the same exact impression as you. I thought this match for Psycho Mike, he was going to have to absolutely be perfect to beat Casey Luchador. And as the match started, it did not go that route for Psycho Mike. He looked a little off on his game. Luchador capitalized on multiple just big maneuvers inside that 20 by 20 squared circle, but could not pick up the pinfall. It was multiple near falls for Luchador there. He would eat a couple finishers from Psycho Mike, which seemed to turn the tides around for Psycho Mike, as Psycho Mike would pick up that pinfall victory and walk away the new CWN Intercontinental Champion. 2 title changes here tonight already, Meltzer. This is the standard for what tonight's going to bring, because we still have a few other championship matches.
Boy.
We're going to be in for a long, long, long night. But congratulations to the legendary Psycho Mike, our new CWN Intercontinental Champion. Your thoughts, Meltzer, on that match?
Mike, I know you're watching this, sir. Congratulations. And you made me a believer.
I would absolutely agree with you there. I'm still not 100% on the Psycho Mike bandwagon, but
I'm not either, but just for one night.
This is a good start. It's absolutely a good start, and to beat someone at the caliber of Casey Luchador and at the heights that Casey Luchador was on, is absolutely amazing. The first co-main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, is the CWN All Allegiance Championship match. It is between the CWN All Allegiance Champion, Killer Clown himself, Big Daddy Juggalo, Casey Riddle, as he takes on a member of the Dark Circus, Jackson Law, Unhinged. Let's talk about this real quick. Law has his hands in a lot of different pots. You said that the last time you were on the show. You said if anyone can do it, it's Jackson Law.
Yeah.
Have his hands in so many different. He's in tag team scene, singles championships. Different feuds that he's having. Trey Camp, now Casey Riddle, Austin Kruger. So there's a lot that Jackson does. But this version of Casey Riddle that we saw these last 2 weeks, you've known Riddle for your entire career as a sports guy. So you have a lot of insight on Casey Riddle. What should we expect from Casey Riddle for this match.
Absolute destruction, because this is not the Riddle I've known for years. This is a side of him that I didn't even know existed. I mean, I've gone out, I've shared beers with this man, I've had Fagos with this guy, but damn, lately he's took it up a notch.
Yeah. Now let's just talk about this. He did up his game. This is a version of Casey Riddle we haven't seen ever, literally
Mhm.
in ACW history, PCW history, CWN as a whole. We haven't.
Mhm.
Now, is that because he recognizes the challenge that is ahead? Because we all know Law can, like that, be unhinged, right? So is it
Yeah.
because he recognizes the challenge ahead, or is it something that it just needed to happen?
I think it's a combination of both. Because Jackson has a tendency of bringing out the best in his opponents if he so chooses. I mean, look what he did, and I keep bringing this feud up, but with Sarabai. Sarabai put out his best work against Jackson. I think Riddle sees Jackson as his opponent, and he naturally had to evolve.
I like what you said there. Naturally had to evolve. Jumping into this match here, ladies and gentlemen, it was one for the ages. At least this part of it was, as Casey Riddle. I mean, I have never seen so many face painted people on the entrance ramp. All the shenanigans, the whole Juggalo party, so to speak, that was happening
Mhm.
on stage for his entrance as Casey Riddle would get to the ring. If anyone's watching this, by the way, please tag Casey Riddle and Jackson Law. But he gets to the ring, ladies and gentlemen, and the lights go out. Circus music begins to play. Plays for about a minute and a half. It comes back on. No Jackson Law. No unhinged. No nothing. Right. Which is out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Not 100% out of, but it's out of the ordinary because it could just be Jackson. Mind games.
Yep.
So the music plays again. Still nothing when the lights come back on. Now it's a little different. And then
Here we go.
Casey Riddle, I told you. You do not control the narrative. Just like the great ringmaster, I've been puppeteering you to do what I want you to do. You've never been to the Cathedral of Fear. We'll step right in. But unfortunately for you, I'm not fair. But don't worry, Casey Riddle. Since you're inside the circus, I decided to bring some friends along. Welcome to the Dark Circus. Beware.
I want a refund.
and that's where all hell broke loose as the circus music played for a third time, ladies and gentlemen. And the ringmaster, a man we haven't seen in so long, appeared
Oh,
on the entrance ramp. Here's where things got crazy, creepy, freaky, blew all of our minds. Ringmaster being the greatest showman on earth, doing his dark magic, so to speak, wave his hands around for a moment, the lights will go out. When it came back on, ladies and gentlemen, every single one of those face painted individuals that were on the stage in the entrance with Casey Riddle were all wearing the a mask of Sideshow Bailey. No unhinged still, just a lot of Sideshow Baileys, and that's where all hell broke loose. Each of them would get into the ring, and Riddle, absolutely chaotic in his own mind, sending these Sideshow Bailey imposters over the top rope, just fighting his way through all of this. The match never officially got started due to all of the interference, as the ringmaster just stood and watched, ladies and gentlemen, impressed by the manner and actions of Casey Riddle. Riddle would then turn his attention to the ringmaster. He would get out of the ring. He would make his way to the ringmaster. The lights would go out. When they would come back on, where ringmaster stood would be the unhinged, as unhinged would connect with a code breaker, devastating code breaker to Riddle on that entrance ramp, raising that All Allegiance Championship over his head, placing it across the chest of Casey Riddle. Lights go out, they come back on, unhinged is gone, as are all of those Sideshow Baileys as well. So, your thoughts on that?
I didn't realize I was coming to see a horror film. Holy shit!
It was intriguing, and I think the fans here enjoyed it as much as we did. Probably to a different extent than we did, because I was more so glad that we were in the Gorilla and not out around all of that.
Uh-huh.
But Law or Unhinged is it's a different being when you have to contend with Unhinged. Because obviously we know the Dark Circus. Anyone who knows the history of the Dark Circus, you know that there's a lot of just crazy that happens that revolves around the Dark Circus, and to see the Ringmaster back, those individuals that Riddle came out with to immediately be brainwashed and turned into these Sideshow Baileys, it was absolutely amazing to watch, but at the same time, it was hard to watch.
Seeing Riddle do that just emphasizes what I said about natural evolution. But did they really have to play that video with Pennywise?
Well, moving on to the second co-main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, it's the CWN Boundless Championship match. It features My Muscle, the CWN Boundless Champion, the Gypsy Freak. She takes on Cletus the Bum. Cletus, let me ask you this. I had mentioned this to you backstage before the match started. I just want to mention it to you on air just so everyone can hear your opinion as well. Cletus was the Intercontinental Champion for quite some time. Lost the championship to Casey Riddle, to Casey Luchador, and he kind of disappeared for a little bit, and then he came back. Now, this version of Cletus is more hardcore. It's back to his roots, right? More of that hardcore style. Now, a lot of people seem to think that Cletus just doesn't understand what's happening or is going on, and I'm starting to see this as just a a facade. Because if you've noticed, he's done certain things, like in his last match, he's done certain things where you're like, that's not the same bum, like out of his mind, oblivious individual. He's doing things that are
He's
actually very
calculating.
smart. Yeah, very calculated. That's a great word. Very calculated, especially for the persona of Cletus the Bum. So
He is, again, using the phrase naturally evolving. He went off and he came back and he's got people fooled because I've had arguments in the office about Cletus. But I go back and look at these tapes, he's doing stuff that, like you said, is uncharacteristic for him.
I mean, for instance, last show that we had, obviously he lost to Brockus, and then he put on the performance, right? He put on the performance of a lifetime. Should deserve a Grammy for it, or an Oscar, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, everything. Give him all of them. But at the end of it, we saw that it's almost like me and you kind of looked at each other. As soon as it happened, we could see the switch flip in his head, and he went absolutely berserk on Brockus after the match. And it was interesting. So my question is, should we be worried? Not we. Should Gypsy be worried about should Gypsy be worried about Cletus, or is she comfortable in her skin with this match?
I've known Gypsy a while now, and I know she's comfortable, but I wouldn't sell Cletus short. Not now. Not the way he is.
And on top of that, we've already seen multiple title changes tonight. Could Gypsy fall victim to this? Well, we're about to find out. As the match started between those two last night, ladies and gentlemen, it was back and forth action the entire match. And Cletus still played this drunken master persona to the T. But we saw those flashes of just that calculated, methodical, maniacal side of Cletus. Unfortunately, Gypsy is at a different level right now in her career, and she would walk away with the victory after a tarot card, and retaining that championship. Now, at the end of the match, Cletus did try to attack Gypsy at the end of the match, but Gypsy was able to fight off that attack after the match and escape out of the ring, leaving Cletus in the ring, attacking security as he's trying to get through them to get to Gypsy. So Gypsy would retain the championship, ladies and gentlemen. However, Cletus the Bum, I'm starting to believe the word that you've been using tonight is very, very apropos in regards to this natural evolution of a lot of these individuals upping their game, going to that next level, breaking through those glass ceilings. We see that, and we're seeing that, especially with Cletus.
I mean, look at what Cletus did. He went after Gypsy not the way he normally does. After the match, he actually calculated the perfect time, the perfect place. That's not our normal Cletus the Bum. That was literally some new Jekyll and Hyde-esque craziness.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree. And it's going to be interesting moving forward for anyone who has to be in that situation with Cletus. And he's making it to where people have to have their heads on a swivel, eyes in the back of their head. Because even if you win the match, Cletus could potentially just attack you. Even if you lose the match, is he going to just leave the ring and let you be? Or is he going to try and continue? You know what I mean? So there's a lot to be
Mm-hmm.
considered with Cletus moving forward. The main event, first main event of the evening, is for the CWN Universal Championship. Features the CWN Universal Champion Austin Monster Kruger as he takes on the legend etched in stone Trey Camp. And we haven't seen Kruger for several weeks due to that injury that he sustained against against Jackson Law, but at the hands of Trey Camp. That concussion put him out for quite some time. Let's just reveal to everyone what happened with that match there. Kruger's in the back. He's warming up. We can see him on the backstage warming up. He's working through the motions in his head. He's turning down interviews with our interview staff. He's just in the zone. You can see he's locked in. And Trey Kemp's music hits. Trey Kemp makes his way to the ring. And backstage, it shows Austin Kruger, and we were up close and personal, Mr. Meltzer. We were up close and personal, as anyone who knows wrestling knows. The superstars have to go through the gorilla to get to the curtain to get onto the entrance stage, and that was the scariest experience you and I have ever had in our life, because the lights in the gorilla as Kruger walked in went out, and all we could hear was commotion and just it sounded like a lot was going on.
Mm-hmm.
When those lights in our gorilla came back on, there stood the Unhinged with a downed Austin Kruger, and he looked out, like like hurt. Something wasn't right. Something wasn't going. Wasn't it? Something just the motors weren't clicking for Austin Kruger. He was out. I don't know what Unhinged did to him. I don't know what happened. We couldn't see any of it. But we could tell Austin Kruger was not in any condition
Nope.
whatsoever to compete in this match. Now, Trey Camp is in the ring, confused as all get out, as the lights go out, the circus music starts to play, and we see Unhinged dragging Austin Kruger by his arm to the stage, down the ramp with that briefcase in his hand. A briefcase that guarantees him an opportunity to cash in on any champion whatsoever. And the Dark Circus made their presence known. Crisis, Dark Princess, Ringmaster, Sideshow Bailey, they would get into the ring. They would attack Trey Camp, beating Trey Camp to a point where he, even if he wanted to try and stop it, he couldn't stop it. Tossing Trey Camp out of the ring, ladies and gentlemen, as Unhinged would put Kruger in the ring, hand that briefcase to the referee, and indicating that he is cashing in on this opportunity right now. And Unhinged absolutely capitalized on the opportunity as he would pin Austin Kruger for the 1, 2, 3, and new CWN Universal Champion is none other than the Architect of Fear himself, the Unhinged. Now, before we get your thoughts, the Dark Circus were gone after they disposed of Trey Camp. They left. Lights went out as Unhinged was making his way to the ring. Come back on. No Dark Circus. Trey Camp is out on the outside of the ring. Medical is checking on Trey Camp. So Unhinged beats Austin Kruger, and that's where Casey Riddle struck. As Unhinged pinned Austin Kruger, gets the championship, he turns and out of nowhere, he gets the net cutter from Casey Riddle. Casey Riddle will pull him to his feet, hit another net cutter, pull him to his feet, hit another. I believe Casey Riddle, if me and you counted right, he hit about 5 or 6 of those on Unhinged. And he would do what Unhinged did to him on the entrance stage. He would grab the piece or the CWN Universal Championship, raise it over his head, and lay it across the chest of Unhinged before getting out of the ring as the Dark Circus made their way back out. Now, I don't know. So let's hear your thoughts.
I'm still trying to gather them because that was a lot to process in a good 4 or 5 minutes. I mean, Trey Camp's going to be, pardon my orange, but pissed when he comes back around. Find out that not only did he not beat Austin, but someone else beat Austin before him. And then there's going to be the whole situation between Unhinged and Riddle, which, in my opinion, just took a Mount Vesuvius eruption level turn. And then apparently Riddle's going after the Universal Championship eventually. It's going to be like,
And let's not forget, as you just mentioned too, as far as I'm concerned, Trey Camp has earned his right to a Universal Championship. However, now he has to change his game plan to not only focus on Unhinged, who took an opportunity from Trey Camp, but also focus now on Casey Riddle, a man who he has problems with. Their problems are not done, but has pretty much tried to schoolyard push his way to the front of the line here. And I did say this to you after all of that calmed down and we were preparing for the main event of the evening. A lot of people didn't notice the messages that were in anything that Unhinged said. For one, he told Casey Riddle that he was going to etch his name in stone. Now, that's a subliminal message, not to Casey Riddle, but he's talking to Trey Camp, controlling the narrative, right? That's not to Casey Riddle. That's to Trey Camp. So a lot of this, it's almost like he told Trey Camp without telling Trey Camp that he was going to do this, and he did it. And now everyone is shocked, and it's absolutely crazy that when we look back at this and we look back at those, and I implore everyone to look back at those, any of those promos that we saw with Unhinged in it, just listen to the wording, the way things are said, and it's crazy how much it makes sense now with what we just saw.
Bravo Unhinged, because it's my job to analyze this stuff. And he pulled a fast one even on me. I'm like, holy.
That is storytelling at its finest right there.
Yes, it is.
A crazy Universal Championship match. And I'm sure Trey Camp will game plan. He's a legend in his own right. He will game plan for this. Riddle obviously has his mind set on holding not just the All Allegiance, but also the Universal. And you have Unhinged with the biggest target on his back now. And let's just say these next few weeks are probably going to be mind blowing, to say the least.
We might want to build a glass wall between us and the entryway.
Or move our gorilla to somewhere else.
Like a skybox?
Yeah. Somewhere far away for sure.
No, that's fine.
Now moving into the main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, it is the World Heavyweight Championship match, the CWN World Heavyweight Championship match. It features the Mailman versus the returning James Rhodes, the unsung hero James Rhodes. And Meltzer, we know what the mailman's going to do. We know the mailman always delivers. He's a thinking man. But with this supposed alleged new and improved James Rhodes, what were your thoughts before this match?
This is, in my opinion, is going to be James's biggest test. He's taking on the best in this company, and there's Daisy. And I'll be honest, there's Daisy fails and Daisy succeeds. However, this new version of him, I'm intrigued to see how he does in the ring against our world champion. I just hope that he's not sent back to sender.
Yeah, agreed. Well, James Rhodes actually showcased just a completely new persona here in this match. Absolutely took the mailman to the limits. These last couple matches for the mailman have been some of the toughest. Last show with the Flower Princess, she took him to the limits. This show here with James Rhodes. James Rhodes is taking mailman to the limits, but mailman is absolutely the most resilient champion that I've ever witnessed inside of that ring. He figures it out on the fly, and he returned James Rhodes, the unsung hero, back to Cinder here as he would pick up a pinfall victory and retain the CWN World Heavyweight Championship. However, at the end, it's not out of the characteristics for the mailman. At the end of the match, he would help James Rhodes up. They have history, obviously, raising James Rhodes' hands, applauding him on his comeback. He would start to leave the ring, and the circus music would play on the screen, on the Tron. Unhinged and the circus would show up. Dark Circus would show up with Unhinged, leaving these ominous words to the mailman. The universe is mine, and soon the world will be too. And that is where the show would go off the air. Now, your thoughts, obviously, on that. Let's just leave it with that. Your thoughts on that.
Well, mailman, good luck, because I think you just got a circuit-sized target on your back.
Yeah, and we know, we know the mailman. He's no stranger to the Dark Circus. He's had a lot of run-ins as of late with the Dark Circus. So it's going to be an interesting time moving forward here in CWN, especially with all of these pieces moving on this proverbial chessboard that we have. But as the show's over. Here we are today, Saturday morning. Let's talk about the next card here real quick. First match on the next card, singles match, no time limited, features the returning Nikki Hartman as she takes on Johnny Rockstar. If you were to pick who would win that match, who are you picking?
I gotta pick Nikki just because that's a little bit of favoritism because she is Alex's sister.
Sure.
And she's been training in our gym for months for this comeback.
Match number 2, ladies and gentlemen, singles match, also no time limit. It features Cletus the Bum versus the return of Brutus Buckeye. Meltzer, who are you picking?
I would love for Brutus to win, but I'm going with the new and improved Cletus.
Match number 3, ladies and gentlemen, triple threat match. It features one half of the New Breed, Michael the Angel, versus Southern Heart versus Casey Luchador. Who are you picking to win that match?
I'm going to have to go with. I would love to see Southern Heart pull this one off.
The first co-main event of the evening is a tag team match. It features the Dark Circus, the CWN Universal Champion Unhinged and Flower Princess, versus the Dark Falcons Dominator and Mason Stevens. Who's are you picking to win that match?
I'm going Dark Circus on this one. As much as it kills me to even acknowledge that, but yeah.
Second co-main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, is a champion versus champion match. It features our new CWN United States champion, one half of the new breed, Brockus, versus our CWN Intercontinental champion, the legendary Psycho Mike. Who are you picking to win that match?
Brackus.
And the first main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, is a fatal four-way match. It features the All Allegiance champion, Casey Riddle, versus the Boundless champion, Gypsy, versus the legend etched in stone, Trey Camp, versus the unsung hero, James Rhodes. Who are you picking to walk away the victor in that match?
Holy God.
We don't make it easy here for you, Meltzer.
No, you don't. But that's why I get paid the big bucks. I'm going with Riddle on this one.
That's a fantastic pick. Obviously, my pick is different. I gotta go with my muscle, but that is not a bad
I know. We'll have this discussion when we go to lunch later.
Right. Alrighty, and then the final main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, CWN World Heavyweight Championship match, Mailman versus one half of the Unity Tag Team Champion, Sarabai. Who are you picking, Melcher, and why? And you don't even have to give a why. You could just leave it as I'm picking this person, and you'll find out why.
I'm going to have to go with the Mailman on this because this is the first time ever match. They've never shared the ring together, neither of these two. But this is a title Sarabai's been chasing for a year now. But the Mailman does have a tendency of pulling it out and making the match special for everyone, but Mailman's going to win this one.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Malcolm King, CEO of CWN, Charlie Meltzer, the greatest of all time as far as sports analysts goes, and it is time to cut it out. That's paying homage to the one and only Mr. Donald Smith, and we will see you all next week.